Hannah, it's great to have you on the podcast. How are you doing today? You all right?
I'm really good, feeling very well.
Good.
Thank you for having me.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's great to connect with you. And yeah, I just thought I'd start by kind of asking how you kind of got into like personal development. So you're a well-being consultant. You do speaking, yoga, meditation. This kind of field. Kind of what kind of got you into like doing this?
Yeah, well, I'm originally from a performing background. So I started from a young age with the acting, the singing, the dancing. And then I came out of the dance industry and realized that I was really interested in mental health and learning and development and training. And I went to stay in India for nearly a year. My sister was out there for 4 years, so I went to stay with her there. And I got into yoga. And obviously, India is the birthplace. And I got into meditation and thought, okay, I see why people are into this stuff and how simple it can be, but how powerful it can be. And growing up, I was quite an attention-seeking, dramatic child. And I found it difficult in my household with different energies. And I think the stage and the performing world have been my kind of outlet to really be me. And I love that.
Hmm.
But then coming out of the dance industry, where it was very superficial, quite fake a lot of the time, I found yoga and thought, this is my calling now. It's still movement, but it's not so extroverted. It's more kind of internal. And I think
Hmm.
I needed that kind of healing as a person. And yoga, India was a place to do a lot of that kind of soul searching and healing. And then my stepmother, who had got me into Buddhism and really helped me through my spiritual path, she had said to go to this company and do this yoga course. And then I started teaching back in the UK, and I went to Thailand to do some more studying with the yoga to a really fantastic center there. Um, and then over the years, I felt like yoga's not enough now, and I'm not going to be this bendy forever. And so then I got into education and training, and I did some training and got some qualifications around meditation, but also around teaching. And then I started doing some speaking roles around the meditation side. I was working with adults with mental illness and teaching mindfulness, and I did all my training within mindfulness. And then my brother, who is a journalist, and he works now within the insurance world, he got me into some mental health summits and forums. So suddenly I'm speaking about meditation and mental health and mindfulness, and I decided to create some courses. So I designed these well-being courses and thought I need to take this into the corporate world, because that's where I see a lot of suffering. There's a lot of pressure, dog eat dog, people that are working every hour under the sun, and really their lives are just being wasted through this demand. And the corporate world didn't seem to have much concern or regard around mental health, which has completely changed over the last few years. And employee well-being strategies were moving up the agenda, and a lot of companies over even the last 5 years had started to incorporate a lot of mental health training, the mental health first aiders, well-being within the workplace. And I think with meditation and mindfulness, it started off, people were thinking it was wishy-washy and it was just for yogis, or well-being was just for them, just for the elite or the rich and the people that can go to retreats and have, gurus. And it's not, it's mandatory, it's for everybody. And the corporate world's really opened up its doors now and its perspective to, to have a thriving business, we need to have happy, healthy workforce and employees. And so they're putting money into it finally. And so I saw a little opening there, and I thought, right, get these courses off the ground and create your company that isn't just yoga. And I work with a lot of adults with mental illness, as I say, I have for many years, and work within the NHS and education, but taking it further into the workplace. So I designed these well-being courses, and I'm just continuously designing them now, because companies are like, we want to book more and more and more, which is brilliant. So as you can imagine, in this
Yeah.
pandemic, it's been busy, and I'm very, very grateful of that.
Mm.
And my courses are on, mental fitness, because there's been quite a stigma around mindfulness and meditation. And I think when it kind of came into the corporate world a bit, companies were calling it, say, corporate resilience or
mm,
performance coaching, and bringing mindfulness in there, because people sometimes think, I don't want to do this wishy-washy
mm.
meditation, it's not really my thing, but it's just sitting and breathing. Do you meditate?
I used to meditate quite a bit. I should do it more. I I do have, like, times where I just, sit outside and I just kind of like ground myself and stay
Hmm.
kind of get present.
Yeah.
But meditating and like that kind of thing, like it's on my definitely on my list. I need to do it, more frequently.
Mm, that's it. And I think so many more people now, especially going through this year, because COVID has brought to the surface a lot of the societal issues, whether it be the way we treat animals, the way we eat food, the way we treat the planet, but the way we treat ourselves and others as well. And if
Mm,
if the world can reset through this and come back with a deeper connection for compassion for each other, we're so judgmental to each
mm,
other. And I think it's brought the best and the worst out of people. But if we can reset a little bit more with self-care is a must, it's imperative. I mean, even
mm,
at the best of times, looking after your mental health is important, isn't it? But this has highlighted it, because I think people have said, okay, I've never really suffered with any anxiety before, and now I can't sleep because I'm worried about this pandemic taking someone that I love. And I
mm,
think often it takes a catastrophe or a trauma to change and to shift, doesn't it? And that's not
mm,
just for the world, that's for just people. It's, I think, grief. Like yourself, you went through something huge with your
mm,
accident that bring, I think, these dramas that we have, or the grief or loss or trauma, it brings us into the present moment more, doesn't it? And we
mm,
don't want it to be that way. We don't want to have to lose someone to make us feel more present, or to have some trauma to, these teachings and these practices through self-care help
mm,
you to become more in the present moment. Because I feel like what I want my courses to achieve is that people just arrive more fully in their lives. We seem to be in this spell of the screen and the scrolling and I see it even with people around me, that we're losing that concentration, we're losing that presence to
mm,
actively listen to someone, or to know that someone's in need, through calling them and actually speaking to that person, rather than just seeing what they're posting on Instagram, or, it's
mm,
connecting more through
mm,
communication. And our concentration levels are going down, and our kind
mm,
of communication skills, interpersonal skills through youngsters are, the younger generations are suffering. And I think to just take yourself away and grasp what it is to be more mindful and present will just enhance your life, because
mm,
otherwise we're just existing, aren't we, without being fulfilled with these beautiful moments and connections that you can have every single day. They don't have to just
mm,
be for special occasions when you come away feeling uplifted or grounded
mm,
or loved or connected. Every single day there's joy and there's things that we can find, even when we're going through challenges. But I used to have difficulty dealing with emotions.
mm,
And I know for me, meditation and self-care, even things like journaling, waking up in the morning and just that brain dump of like, what did I just dream about? What did I, even if you're not
mm,
trying to find out what it means, it's just releasing it, because we're overthinking all the time, aren't we?
mm, mm,
There's an Anthony Hopkins quote about, we're slowly dying through thinking, we're killing ourselves through think about everything. And the
mm,
brain is like a death trap. The mind is like a death trap, something like that. And
mm,
it's so true. We're just consumed by thoughts.
mm,
And it's hard not to be,
mm,
especially at the moment. But
mm,
when you just sit and take that time to breathe, these tools are so simplistic, yet so powerful. And I think people are really coming around to them, that, take that time for yourself and reap the benefits, because there's, just even gratitude. I think I watched a beautiful discussion the other day about mindfulness and how the world has become more present all of a sudden. We've had to, if you were floating through life just a bit like meh, bit beige, bit, this pandemic has woken everybody up, hasn't it? And
mm.
there was, do you know Jill Scott, the singer Jill Scott, the
I've
R&B?
heard the name.
Yeah, she's a poet as well, and she was on the panel, and she was talking about the Black Lives Matters movement happening at this time, and how, there's never a good time for anyone to be treated like that, or killed, or and this has been going on for many, many years. But for the world to wake up to it at this time through a lockdown was almost perfect for the universe to put that in at that time. It's like, this is happening every day, yet we are all in shock anyway through this pandemic. And now people sitting at home, and millions of white people who have not understood what's going on for people of color all these years, that were quite shocked. Oh my goodness, is this happening all the time? And it's like, for them to be able to immerse themselves into it whilst being at home, or being, having a bit more time to reflect, was fantastic, because the world has been in shock, and shock produces stress hormones, and stress hormones inflammation, and inflammation can kill you. Cortisol, cancer, stomach ulcers, heart attacks. This is all from stress, and our thoughts make us stress. So our thoughts can kill us, and our thoughts can also heal us. So I think coming into the well-being industry, say 15 years ago, it's life-changing, and it sounds really cheesy, but it is life-changing. And I know now how I can better control my emotions, and how I can be a better parent, a better friend or partner. And I think, I think the world needs some of that. It's important. And especially at the moment, my goodness.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. And I think, like, with what you're doing, and creating these courses, and that you went to India, and you put your time and research, energy, into learning more about it. I think that's really great, and that you're wanting to help people, on a big scale as well, and you're doing that through these courses. So, I think that's great, and I think, like, mental health is definitely key. I mean, especially now. I saw a post. I'm not going to say who it is, but I saw a post on someone's post, and I think they tried doing something to themselves, because the anxiety and the stress, and they did like a public thing about it, saying thank you to everyone who's there, and on the person's videos and everything, they seem okay, and you just don't know. And I think this time is, this period that we're kind of in, it is a lot of stress, especially on top of people, like you said, in the corporate world, where they don't know, might be having pay cuts. They might have their own stresses due to this, and they have to achieve these targets for their company and so forth. And might have a family. You add all these different layers onto it, and you can see why it's affecting people's stress levels. And I think your meditation, and mindfulness and yoga, and having that self-awareness and that gratitude, definitely helps with that. And it just kind of like brings you back into alignment. And I think this whole time that everything's been going on, it's definitely forcing people, I think, to look within, at themselves and what's going on. Because if you're locked down, you can't do the things. I think this is half the problem as well. People can't do those things that they thought would make them feel good. Like, gyms are closed, nightclubs are closed, social things. People are like, thinking more about, what makes them happy. And I think, like, and yoga and mindfulness, helps with that.
Absolutely. We've stripped it back to basics, haven't we? And we're now getting excited about walking 2 meters away from someone in the forest and just noticing nature. And I think these things are looked at as insignificant, because, like you say, we consume, we go out, we're excessive, we're at clubs, we're spending loads of money on things we don't really need, and all these things have been taken away. So it is going, okay, what's really important? Who are the people that are really important? Who mean the most to me? And actually connecting back with nature is something I think a lot of people that have done recently. And there's nothing insignificant or wishy-washy about looking up at the sky and at the sunlight in the tree, or just putting your bare feet on the grass. These are ancient practices that are fruitful, that enhance your life. And taking those moments to appreciate nature, it helps. It's really healing. And I think for young people, it scares the hell out of me, because I worry about my son who's 8 years old. We have no screen days. I have to say to him, come off the Nintendo Switch, and I don't, as soon as he gets into that cycle of social media scrolling, that's when I feel like I've lost him into the screen. And I don't know if you've seen, Adam, The Social Dilemma.
Yeah, I watched it, yeah.
I mean, my goodness. And one of my, because I've been going on about this stuff for so long, it's never really sat right with me, the fact that we're looking through people's lives. From the minute Facebook came out, I was just confused about how people were discussing other people's lives that hardly knew each other. It didn't sit right. You know, our time and our private life is sacred to us, and suddenly we're sharing more through a screen and a post than we are face to face. And it just felt weird. And I post for work, but I don't go into the scrolling. I can't bear it. But I feel so scared for these youngsters. You know, Snapchat dysmorphia, where girls are going abroad to dodgy surgeons to have themselves look like their filtered self, so they haven't got to spend the time filtering. And it's, you know, social media started off, I think they say this in the Social Dilemma, social media platform started as a tools-based platform for helping growth, for helping learning and sharing. And now it's changed into this manipulative and addictive, psychological based environment where they learn about your psychology. They learn these algorithms and they learn what makes you tick and what you want to watch, what you want to see. And then they feed you this dopamine. And we're all dopamine addicts in our own way. My one is WhatsApp. You know, all the groups, all the friends, all the family. I've got big family and big group of friends. And so I know that phone, there's always going to be a question. There's always going to be someone giving me attention or wanting an answer, or and it's just that dopamine. And it's the same. How many posts, how many likes? We're just immersed in it and we're completely at the mercy of it. And if you're at the mercy of any addiction, you know, dopamine is as addictive as cocaine or gambling. You know, and if you're at the mercy of that, you're never fully relaxed. And I've got a course on how to detach from the digital world, finding balance and contentment. And there's lots of breath work in there. And there's lots of practical tips in that course about, you know, have a place for your phone. You know, we carry this thing around like it's an attachment of ourselves. We have it next to us when we're watching something. And at the climax or the, you know, the best part of this movie, we're wondering why we're almost wanting to reach for our phone.
Yeah.
Because we know we messaged someone an hour ago and we're waiting for their reply. We know we posted something a half an hour ago and we're waiting to see their response. So this pull is strong. And if you're always, like I say, dependent on that for validation, for the dopamine hit, you're never fully there. You're never fully in your life. And I think it's just it's an everyday journey and it's an everyday practice. You know, you've got to do the work. If you don't want to just exist through your life and it to rapidly, you know, whiz by, because the less present you are, the faster your life goes, doesn't it? You know, the more in here, it's like, oh, is this week just gone? Yeah, it has. It's gone in a flash because most of it you spent overthinking or scrolling in this spell, you know, and it's not normal.
Yeah.
And you look around and it is normalized and it is socially acceptable that we're all standing with no contact, with no energy passing, with no we're just, you know, and what it's going to do to our spines, all this looking down. But yeah, it's like I say, it's a lifelong, like, you know, it's you have to continuously work at this stuff, and you're a life coach, so you know how to get the best out of people. And that's really, I think my passion is to just keep trying to help people with the tools available to get the best out of their life. Because it's a short life. We don't know how long we've got, do we? And I think anyone that has lost someone dear to them, you do get that sense of impermanence. You know, it's so impermanent. And I think that's taught everybody, this pandemic, COVID-19, that's taught everybody impermanence, hasn't it? We've all been in fear of losing someone or being unwell. We tend to take it for granted that the ground is very stable and steady, and it isn't. You know, at any moment it isn't. But I think there'll be good stuff to come out of this. Do you?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a silver lining to it. Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I'm very grateful for where I am and my current situation. And I I think without this pandemic, I probably wouldn't have had time and focus to do podcasts, to focus on certain things. So, you know, I've kind of seen it as an opportunity and time to network, do this,
Yeah.
and focus on that and focus on coaching and different things. So for me, I mean, it's kind of worked, okay. I think people have a choice. I think people have a choice of their current situation and how they want things to be.
Mm.
I know a lot of people who, it's been that space and time to think about their job, and they change their job and
Mm.
things like that. Some
Yeah.
people haven't, and they've just chilled and watched TV. Seen it as a holiday. I mean, fair enough, but
Yeah.
I I think people have their own choice with it. I think a lot of it's how you react with it. I mean, a lot of people lost businesses and things like that have happened, but I know some people who, who've kind of improvised throughout this time. So I think
Mm.
it's trying not to lose your head. It's things that can sound. I know it's difficult, but I think a lot of people, it's kind of, there's a silver lining to it.
Yeah.
Somewhere in it.
Yeah.
And I agree with you with social media as well. Like, I saw that documentary, and I, I use pretty much all the platforms apart from Snapchat. Really, I've got Snapchat. I don't really use it, but I have to be very kind of balanced with my time. And I think from watching that documentary, it made me more mindful of some of the things that I, get in that feed. And I think I turned notifications off on it. Actually, I turned notifications off
Good
on
one.
Instagram. Yeah, and I I use LinkedIn, but I mean, what I tend to do is I'll ask myself, why am I? Before I go on it, sometimes I'll be like, why am I going on it?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got something to post. Okay, post it,
Mm.
and try and not get caught into that feed where you end up looking at something
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I kind of use it to post my stuff. I do that, do what I need to do, respond to messages,
Mm.
or I follow a lot of Gary Vee's stuff, and I'll watch a lot of. Do you know what I mean? So I try and be focused of what I look at.
Yeah.
But sometimes I get caught adrift watching a funny video, and then I'm like, shit, 10 minutes has gone by. Okay, I'm going to come off it now.
Yeah. That's it. I've got friends that are gifted and talented and intelligent and strong people, but they're saying to me, Hannah, I'm caught up in it. I just had an hour where I was in like a zone of just like a zombie zone of just scrolling and then just comparing and then just thinking. And it's like we wonder why our minds are so busy, and I
Mm,
think you're right. It's looking at something thinking, is this harmful or helpful? If it's
mm,
helpful because I'm learning, if it's helpful because it's helping my self-growth or it's helping me to gain perspective or helping my business, great, I'll dedicate that time. If it's just
mm,
harmful really to my mental health because all I'm doing is comparing my life to others or wasting time that I could be spending on other stuff, and really I think a lot of social media is now just mentally weakening, and we need to really be doing things every day to mentally strengthen, and that means having your self care routine where you get up in the morning and you just sit for 5 minutes if that's what it takes, just to clear the mind, or you do a bit of journaling, or you do a bit of yoga, or just stretch, or your exercise. But it's just finding ways to keep you mentally strong in preparation for those challenges. There's millions and millions of people around the world that are going to go through grief and financial strain and mental health issues or physical health issues, abortion, miscarriage, relationship breakdown. These things are
mm,
not unknown, uncommon. And so
mm,
I think we go through some of our 20s just living for the moment and kind of having fun. And then you get a little bit further up. For me, I had to get closer to my 30s before I started to realize about mental well-being and the
mm,
importance of taking care of that, because the brain is like a muscle, and
mm,
if we don't warm it up in the mornings and cool it down at the end of
mm,
the day,
mm,
and if we have overuse and unrealistic use, we're going to incur injuries just like any other muscle. And with
mm,
our minds, those injuries are common mental health problems,
mm,
or worse. So we have to just take care of ourselves. And I
mm,
think mental health has definitely shot up the agenda, which
mm,
is wonderful news.
mm,
um, and yeah, I think companies are taking responsibility now, which is fantastic, because they do have a responsibility to keep their workforce sane and to help keep the world sane. We spend so much time at work, don't we?
mm,
That's why it's important to feel protected and safe at work. It's like, I think the mentality is changing. Don't bring your personal life into the workplace. It's like, how can we not? Because we're multi-layered balls of
mm,
emotion and experience and upbringing, and things are happening every day. And how can we not take that into the place where we work every day and spend 8 hours? Just unrealistic. And now it's
mm,
kind of, I know the mental health first aiding company had a campaign, bring your whole self to work. Dress how you want to dress, be you. Yeah, you can't let your work suffer, but come in and tell us that you're going through some depression. Tell us that you've
mm,
got a mental health problem. Tell us that you're struggling with a relationship breakdown or being a parent, or we can support you. And all the employee assistance programs that there are now,
mm,
companies are taking care of their employees, and
mm.
they should, you know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's definitely more highlighted now more than ever. I think like I've worked predominantly in a lot of like restaurants and hotels, and like stressful, like it's like can be an understatement sometimes. Like it can be like so full on, and in the kitchens it's hot, there's pressure, there's standards. The chefs do crazy hours and people running
Yeah.
around, and I remember like I worked in one place and I saw we had six 5 to 6 head chefs and like 3 managers in the space of like 6 months. And it was just like people come and going. And you didn't know if you wanted to get attached to someone or talk because they might be gone in a week. And it was like, mental health in that industry as well, and is like, I think, I think they're more understanding of it, like you said now.
Mm.
People talking about it. It's still stressful, but I think it's a lot more highlighted than it used to be. Like,
Yeah.
but but I think it depends on the manager sometimes, and if they're understanding or if that's in place. I
Mm.
had one manager, and the person was like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it? And I was like, well, this is what I need to talk to. But it was like, well, you kind of feel sometimes people feel like they can't talk to the boss because their boss is coming from that angle, or they don't want to interrupt their work. But I think like it's getting more highlighted now because, like you said, you can't have a strong workforce if they're not mentally fit. You
Mm.
know.
Absolutely. And it's great that a lot of people are coming out and speaking about their experiences. I mean, I watched the documentary, the Freddie Flintoff documentary, and how he's has us struggling with an eating disorder. And there's
Mm,
so many men. Suicide is the biggest killer between say 35 and 45 or something, I think,
yeah.
around there. And it's so people coming out and speaking about their experiences is fantastic.
Mm,
Because like you say, people have felt alienated and scared to come out and speak. And now it's not just a tick off for companies, it's a must. It's not just it's imperative. It's not just we need to show that we're considering mental well-being. It's imperative that they do.
mm,
um yeah.
yeah. No, I definitely agree, and I think like it encourages other people to then talk about it as well if they see someone else who's talking about it. It kind of gives them that kind of like, oh, that, so they can talk about it, and then I can. And I think that's kind of
Absolutely.
how it helps, people. And I think, social media like is a tool, I find, and it's like, how you use that and how you leverage it. And people just need to have that balance with it.
Mm. And that's why meditation is fantastic, because when you switch off the phone or the screen and you just come within and you go internally, you can take that moment to really, feel the heartbeat, connect to the breath. And when
Mm,
you do that, because you become so present, it almost makes you go, wow,
mm.
just to be here with myself right now feels very different to how I feel when I'm scrolling and when I'm. Should we just try it, Adam? Should we do a couple of minutes just to
Yeah,
conclude
yeah,
with meditation? Yeah?
yeah, yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Sweet.
Okay, so I'll invite you just to close your eyes for a moment, just for this couple of minutes. And just going within and just kind of connecting to the heartbeat. And just releasing or just noticing if there's any tension in your face or any tension in the arms. Allow the shoulders just to hang down. And then just connect to your breath as if that's the only thing you have to think about today, just breathing in and breathing out. Just considering that the quality of your breath can determine the quality of your mind. So really breathe with meaning and purpose. Regulate your breath and breathe with ease. Just take a moment for some gratitude. Just remembering how well we're all doing in this time and how strong and resilient we can be. Taking a slightly deeper breath in and then exhaling any tension and slowly opening the eyes. There you go. Haven't made you too sleepy, have I?
Yeah. It's good job I'm not driving.
Yeah, never meditate on the wheel.
Yeah, yeah. Sounds really nice.
Good.
Yeah,
It's
no, I
good. It's
appreciate
good to
that.
give yourself that time, just even if it's 10 or 15 minutes a day. I mean, when trying to meditate, or just sitting and breathing, as I like to call it as well, the first 10 minutes are like a settling time. You realize how busy your mind is, then it starts to slow down a bit, then your connection to the breath gets a little bit stronger, and then you can get into a deeper, more healing point of the meditation. You know, the first 10 minutes settling, and then after that, that's the real good stuff, you know.
Yeah, nice. I think it's definitely great, and I think everyone's kind of got that ability to do it, haven't they? Just grab a few minutes
Yeah.
and to do it. And I've had hypnosis in the past, and my mum's kind of got a therapist, and she
Oh
does
yeah.
hypnotherapy. So like in the past, she used to do it with me. So if I ever hear like those kind of like binaural sounds,
Yeah.
sometimes she'll play them, and I'm sat in the living room. I'm like going back, and I'm like turn it off. Turn it. I was like, I'm
Oh,
yeah, I'm going into a zone. Turn it off.
that's it. But that's great that you can use that tool or tap into that, you know, having a mother that does that. Because when
Mm,
you're hypnotized and you're taken into a different brain state, you know, the alpha, delta, beta,
mm,
theta, and they're
yeah.
the accelerated learning state. So neuroscientists nowadays are realizing that if you can get yourself into those brain states, we can
Mm,
learn how to memorize, how to retain, and how to learn quicker. And that's
mm,
why when we wake up first thing in the morning, when we're in that alpha brain state, when we start to scroll or look at a screen, we're
mm,
flooding our mind, we're flooding our brain, and it's too much. You know,
mm.
you wouldn't wake up and just grab a weight and start pumping it because you get an injury. And that's the same thing for our mind. You know, we need to take at least the first 45 minutes of the day without looking at a screen. You know,
Mm,
oh, but it's my alarm, and then I get an alarm clock. You know, that
mm,
device is like a constant distraction all day. Instagram, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, emails. So
mm,
when you have
mm,
that next to your head, how do you
mm.
think you're going to have refreshing sleep at night? Because
Yeah.
subconsciously you're still being pulled. You know, even if you have it on flight mode, just the fact that that black object is
Mm,
in your room, you know, and that's one of the things I try and say, just leave it outside the bedroom door. If you want to have the ringtone on just in case someone calls you or an emergency, don't have it next to your head. And then
mm,
radiation as well, not good, but it's good to be able to tap into into
mm.
that zone for yourself.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I sometimes say to people, charge it away from your bed. Put it away so you don't have to get out of bed to
Definitely.
when you're out. Because I've had it sometimes, like next to your bed, and you grab it, and then you sat there you're laying down for 20 minutes, and you're like, oh no, what have I done? And then,
Yeah,
but you definitely feel the benefit when you don't do that, and like
definitely.
I try and read sometimes before I go to bed. Just have that
Mhm.
cut off time from a screen.
Yeah.
Um, but no, it's definitely important. But yeah, no, it's been great talking to you, Hannah.
And you, Adam. Thank you so much.
No, you're very,
Yeah.
very welcome. And where can people find you on like social media or like
So
your
yeah,
website? That
so
kind of
Loveday Wellbeing is on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And yeah, I'm Hannah Loveday, and come and check me out. Also YouTube. I'm putting more presence onto YouTube now. I'm getting some meditations
mm,
out there.
mm,
And for the employee wellbeing courses and workshops, you know, I've got longer ones, I've got shorter courses, bite-sized courses. I do one-to-one, bespoke kind of mindfulness stuff. So yeah, come and find me online. Check out my site, and Yeah, thank you again for having me. Hope to talk to
Yeah,
you again soon.
yeah. No, you too. You're welcome, and I'll definitely share your content for you and put it out there.
Likewise.
Awesome. But no, have a great day.
And you have a great day. Thank you.
You're welcome.